Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about your course notebook. You should have gotten a composition notebook with your course materials, and we're going to talk about what we're going to be doing with this notebook and how to use it. From here on out, we're going to refer to this notebook as an interactive notebook. And because that's kind of long, we take the initials I for interactive, N for note, B for book, and we'll be calling it an INB. Your INB is a way to organize and interact with all of your course material. We've organized your INB into two sides, the left side and the right side. The right side is for material and information that you get from your teacher. We call that input. We are inputting the information to you so that you can learn it and output, do things with it. All right, so examples of input would be note-taking, and we're going to talk specifically about Cornell note-taking today, handouts and foldables, vocabulary terms, reading handouts, and other information that your teachers give you. You'll take that information and you'll do assignments and create other things with that information. So when you have practice work, when you have writing prompts, today you're going to have a quick write. So that quick write will go on the left side. When you make drawings and diagrams, when you create graphs or do analyses from your data, and there's a lot of things that you can do with your information that can go on the left-hand side. This is an example of a page out of another student's notebook. And so I'm going to show you a little bit about how we interact with our notebook. Why do we call it interactive? Because after we take our notes, we do highlighting. So you can see the student has highlighted some important terms and ideas. We write questions over here about the material. This is a good place to write questions that you should be studying for quizzes and tests. We also create a summary. So the summary should happen after the lesson. So you should be coming back to the lesson later in the day or the next day to write your summary. This is an example of an activity a student did where they were building models of different molecules. All right, so that would be a do, an activity. So that would go on the left side. You can also create drawings, diagrams, comic strips, other things that demonstrate your understanding of the material. And today we're going to be doing a little bit of writing, but this is also a place for you and partners to create brainstorming lists and stories and things like that. When you're using your INB, there's a few things that you should always add. Always write the date underneath the page number. Always write the title, whether it's on the right side or the left side. Each page should have a title. Write it at the top of the page. Then take that title and add it to the table of contents in your INB. You should have set that up already when you did your notebook setup. Finally, you want to make sure that you're adding color to every page in some way. This student liked to put key terms and ideas in color, but other students like to just use highlighting. So you can highlight, circle, underline with color your Cornell notes to add organization and clarity. So you don't just want to add color just to make it pretty. That color should be a tool for drawing your eyes to important information. All right, today you guys are going to take your first set of Cornell notes, but before we do that, you have to know what Cornell notes are. And you should have received a handout. And if you didn't pick up your handout, this is what it looks like, so you can copy it into your notebook. You can tape this or copy it by hand onto page 3 of your notebook. So pause the video and go ahead and take care of that now. All right, let's go over these Cornell notes. This is an outline of what Cornell notes should look like. So here we have a title. Here we have a page number and a date. All Cornell notes have an essential question. And so you'll see in our note taking today, and even in this presentation, the first slide always has an essential question. At the end of our lesson, this is the question you should be able to answer. On this side of the Cornell note-taking sheet, you're going to include vocabulary terms, main points in the lesson. You can create bullet-pointed lists. You can copy down diagrams and charts from the notes. You should always abbreviate words and add symbols where you can, because that note-taking skill will save you a lot of time when you're following along in a video or an in-person lecture. All right, you can also create outlines of the material. That is a really common way of writing down notes. And don't crowd your notes. Try to leave a little bit of space between different pieces of information, especially in a new topic, so it's easy to find your information. And then finally, you can also include notations here about if you have questions you need to follow up with the teacher or post in the discussion board. This section is for using after you've taken your notes. After you've taken your notes, you can list possible or anticipated test questions over here. So that's what you saw in the student example. You can also just list key ideas or people from the notes themselves to make those parts easy to find. You can also put very important key vocabulary terms over here to help you find them and know that that's what those notes were about. You use this column for when you're reviewing and studying your material. And then finally, after the lesson, later in the day or the next day, come back and write a brief 2 to 4 sentence summary on the main points of this page. So don't recopy, restate. Refer back to this page whenever you need ideas about how to organize your Cornell notes. All right, that's it for how to use your interactive notebook, and you'll get more practice on this as you take your notes for today.